I want to welcome you to the Inside of Beauty, our podcast. And so today we're going to be talking to Miss Kimberly, known for her fashion styling of Miss CURVchella. Okay, and I
Yes.
love that name. Let me just say that because I'm a fan
Thank
of
you.
Coachella. So
Thank
CURVchella,
you.
I'm here for it. Um, so we're going to be talking about hair loss and hair loss journeys. And I'm Tiffany Sams. And Kim, will you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So CURVchella sounds like a fun time, and I don't live up to the fun that it gives.
I don't know about that.
Well, it is a fun. We had our first one, and it actually was fun. So, my name is Kimberly Williams. I am a native Houstonian. I attended Houston schools. I went to college here. I pledged here, and I started making my name in fashion here in Houston. So I would say, for the most part, that what I'm probably most known for is styling plus size women. Working with plus size
Mm,
women is more of what I love. I love styling. I love clothes, just keeping up with fashion. But I have to say that styling plus size women have my heart because I'm plus sized. And so I
mm,
signify with them just in the plight of what
mm.
we deal with. So when it comes down to it, that is probably what most people in the plus size industry know me for.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, I know that we're talking about hair loss month, and one of the things that you're known for is speaking out and sharing your hair loss journey. Can you tell us a bit
Um,
more about that?
Yeah, so I actually have never talked about my hair loss journey. I've only talked about my diagnosis. And for people that may not understand, when you're diagnosed with breast cancer, one of the only medications that will actually help you if you want to survive this thing is chemotherapy. And that's one
Mm,
of the main things that you go through with chemo while you're undergoing chemo is the loss of your hair. And I'm a praying woman. So initially, when the doctor sat me down and said, "Hey, these are the things that you um, will probably experience," and I was like,
mm,
you know, like, Lord, you know how I feel about my hair. Please, allow me to keep my hair. And that was the first thing to go.
mm, mhm,
And I was thinking, like, how India Arie is like, I'm not my hair. I was very much my hair before this process. So I'm not going to
mhm.
even sit here and paint the picture that because I'm a stylist and I'm so confident and I'm so stylish and I have this repertoire of style and flair that I just navigated through it, because I was devastated. Um, I had braids in. Just to give you a little bit about that very quickly, I had braids in because I was diagnosed a week before my birthday last year, which my birthday is this month. And so I got my diagnosis October 19th. And one of the things that the guy that I was dating at the time, he gave me money for my birthday. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get some braids.
Mm,
And so I got me and my mom's hair braided because I was like at MD Anderson all the time, and I
mhm.
didn't want to think, that's just my normal go-to, braids. And so I'm thinking, oh, I'll be at MD Anderson quite a bit, so let me go ahead and get some braids. Um and so I did that because I started my first chemo the beginning of November, and I was thinking that I was doing myself a service and that
Mhm,
maybe it would take a while for my
mhm.
hair to come out. I didn't have those braids 2 weeks, and whole braids
Wow.
started coming out.
Wow.
Yeah, it
And
was
so how did that
probably Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna follow up to that. How did that make you
Yeah.
feel? How did you deal with that?
Um, excuse me. It made me feel like my life was no longer my own. in all honesty.
Mm.
I began to feel less than a woman. I began to feel as if my identity, because I'm either my hair is gonna be done, period.
Mm.
Because I travel a lot, braids is my go-to, but somebody is getting money from me on a regular basis because I'm extremely anal about my appearance, and at minimum my hair, because
Mhm.
you
Oh,
can
I
have
know.
on the
Mhm.
lightest amount of makeup, you know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
can have on just like a jogging suit or something, but you don't look like what you're going through when your hair is done. You just
Right.
don't. And if
Right.
you I have I mean this camera is awful, but I'm big on my skin. Um so if you've got good skin and your hair is done and you just have on, like, something casual, you're fine. You can
Mhm.
manage and probably look better than most on any given day. And so that for me was pretty gut-wrenching, to say the least.
So you mentioned that, hair was a big part of your identity. Can you kind
Still
of
is.
share well, let's
Mhm.
talk about that. So we know that it
Okay.
was a part of your identity before the diagnosis. How have
Right.
you managed after the diagnosis to still maintain it as a part of your identity?
Um, so the one thing that I'll give myself credit for is my ability to think outside the box as a stylist.
Mm.
And because of that, I instantly thought of several different things that I could do that I would normally do for a client. I began to invest in hats. Well, before I bought anything, I went to my closet because you'd be surprised
Mm.
what you already have. So, scarves, hats, caps. Um, if I had those things, I started pulling them out because I wanted to see what I had, and I wanted to just try it out. Definitely played around with looks. Um, I'd already owned wigs previously, but the other side of the hair loss, and somebody out there is going to hear this and be like, oh my gosh, she was right there with me through, if they've experienced this. What they don't talk to you about outside of that hair loss is the hot flashes.
Mm.
So
Okay.
chemo can put you into an early menopause. And even if you're not in early menopause, it can give you all the symptoms of menopause. So your period can come and go, the hot flashes can come and go. Um, your body temperature just changes altogether. And so when you think about the fact that we live in Houston, where the climate isn't so kind to us all the time, it's a little humid most of the time. Wigs is not like the
Mhm.
normalcy of when you're regular and you don't have breast cancer, or you're not fighting anything or having hot flashes. You just put that wig on and go.
Mhm.
Well, I not only lost my hair, but I began to experience hot flashes.
Mhm.
And so that made me not want to lean. I had to be even more creative because it made me not want to lean on the wigs so often, because I was like so uncomfortable just, with my head becoming warm. And I'm trying to keep it together. I want to still maintain a stylish appearance, but um not show people that, I'm sweating. And so that was something to deal with. But I coped. So outside of the wigs I already owned, I invested in a few more. I probably purchased a couple more hats, really nice hats, because I said,
Mhm.
I don't want to just focus on this diagnosis. I like to make good investments in my closet regardless of what's going on. Like if I were pregnant, I'm not going to purchase pregnancy clothes. I'm going to purchase oversized things that you'll see me wear after I have my baby,
Mm.
because that's
That
just
makes
the
sense. That makes
practicality.
sense. Mhm.
So I was like, okay, if I get some new hats and I spend $200 for a hat, it needs to be a hat that I love, that I wear and won't piss me off thinking about breast cancer all over again but I'll still wear it to the rodeo. Because
Right.
if you're in Houston, and if you're not in Houston, you got to know we have the biggest rodeo, the most amazing
Mhm.
rodeo. And so we pull all our stuff out. And so I was thinking, what's going to work for rodeo? What's going to work for the
Mhm.
carnival? What's going to, So I managed after the devastation, like most Black women, Tiffany, I just did what was necessary. I allowed each day to guide me with how I was feeling. If I didn't want to dress up, if I just wanted to wear like Adidas leggings and a top, okay, I'm gonna just put a scarf on. I have one of my Fendi scarves on today. I wore this a lot. Sometimes I would just tie it on my head really nicely. I wore head wraps. I wore turbans. And I didn't I'll add this as a last, because I know I'm kind of long-winded with how I handled this because it varied. But I'll add this as a last, just negative information is that I didn't want to look like what I saw at MD Anderson. I didn't
Mm.
want to look like a cancer patient. I didn't want to look like someone who had a bald head and was covering their hair.
Mm.
So it's funny because, how you feel is how you look.
Mhm.
And so ultimately, um, nurses would be like, "Oh, I didn't know you'd lost your hair. You lost your hair." Those are the things because I never wanted to look like that. I never wanted to give the appearance of someone that I see. I see that sad patient all the time,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they barely have their head scarves tied, and you see bald heads, and you can tell that they're uncomfortable. Some of them embrace it, but for the most part, for what I saw, it was just a negative to me. And I was like, yes, this is the dark side of cancer, but I won't look like that. It could work for someone else, but I won't look like that.
Well, it sounds like you very much repurposed your pain.
That's what Black
That's
women do.
right, right,
That's what Black
right.
women do.
Every day.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that's a wonderful thing. And you know, the idea of making it kind of a part of your whole accessory. So
Hmm.
accessorizing from the head down, whereas I guess you were already doing that before then. It's just you were doing
Yeah.
it with your hair. And so then
Hmm.
you just started doing it with other things. And I think
Hmm.
that's what's interesting is you didn't allow it to take away your ability to stylize yourself.
You don't get that time really, because every day is a new appointment or a new symptom, or the whole ultimate goal, the end goal is to beat this. I will give a light at the end of the tunnel because that was 1 year ago, and my hair has grown back. It's not where it was, it's not the length because I had hair as long as yours. um, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel because my last chemo treatment was in May, and I started seeing hair like early in the summer. And I've kind of trimmed it up a little bit. It came back super curly, a little thinner, but it's
Mhm.
back. And
It's
so I
fine.
can wear my hair now with deep conditioning. I can even live a lighter, um, less high, less maintenance than what I did before because my hair has come back and it's taken on this curl pattern. So it's given like first of all, it's a year that yes, I can't get back. A year that yes was difficult, to say the least, because we don't like change. Some
Mm,
people, very few people you hear like, "Oh, bring it on."
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
you get there, but not initially.
mm,
Um, so I will say to anyone that's newly diagnosed, if this is your diagnosis and your type of, because I know certain cancer patients don't lose their hair, but if that is your fate, you will get through it. Your hair will come back, and your hair actually comes back better. And you become, when India Ari says, I'm not my hair, you actually become more than just that. So
mm,
now you're having to lean on other things to make up your character, to make up the person that you are. And I know it seems like I'm being deep and that's kind of cliche, but in all honesty, as women, we are forever reevaluating and looking at
Mhm.
ourselves. And when you think about the whole scheme of things, the amount of things that we handle, if you could take your hair off your plate,
Mhm.
just saying, if you could take your
Yeah,
hair off of your plate,
I
what
try
does that
to
leave you?
often.
Exactly. What does that leave you as a woman who is very busy, very invested in, because we pour in to things. And so if that's one less thing that we have to worry about ourselves, it gives us more room and space to be there for other parts of our journey, our cancer journey, which cancer takes a lot out of you. So if you can let your hair go and now you're only focused on preparing healthy meals, making sure that your nutrition is on point, making sure you're taking your CMOS or whatever, holistic. If you've decided to go that route, there are other things with cancer that you could be worried about. And if you let
Right.
the hair go or embrace wherever you are, it allows you to be so much more for other things.
I could definitely see that. And I don't think you're being too deep because the interesting thing is, when Solange cut her hair, was it? That's been a decade ago, at
Mhm,
least.
mhm.
One of the things that she said on an interview is that, we don't go out because our hair is not done, or we don't do this because our hair is not done. And she
Period.
said that, it gave her a different level of freedom. To not have to, to not have to worry about her
I
hair.
have a little story about that. So Solange is actually my church, well, my old church member, because I don't go there anymore, but my cousin is the old pastor's wife, Juanita Rasmus. And I was leaving church and I saw a girl, remember when Solange cut her hair, and it was like about my length, short,
Mhm.
natural, just, and I saw a lady in a Jetta with short hair and she pulls her car, she stops it and says, "Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful." And I had to look. It was Solange in her Jetta with her short haircut doing regular things. I promise you. And I was like,
Like regular people.
and I would see her and her mom sometimes at church because you see you see the Knowles camp. I know like Angie, I know a lot of their people just from over the years from being there at the church and just, living here in Houston. But I never saw Solange come or go. I would see her son in daycare. I would, just see them along the way. Never had I ran into that lady and she had cut her hair. She had just cut her hair and I did not recognize her. So I believe that when she did it, it was freeing for her because I didn't recognize her. She wasn't,
Right.
she definitely didn't look like Beyonce's sister. She looked like somebody who had came to church and was getting on about her business.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
And
Yeah,
she looked beautiful.
she did. She did. She wore it very, very well. And
Mhm.
I big chopped my hair probably about 4 or 5 years after that. But that was
Mm,
probably the beginning of me thinking about it. Like, what
yeah,
would that be like? So, well, let me ask you this, just one final question.
sure.
As a stylist,
Mhm.
in your mind, where does hair and fashion intersect?
Mm. Have you ever seen a Bronner Brothers hair show?
Yes, girl.
Do you
I
understand
haven't been
where?
since COVID, but I went the year, well, that must have been 20, or that must have been
Mhm.
19. Yes, yeah.
So it's a greatest example of where hair and fashion intersect. The one thing that I can say about hair, especially, and I know I keep making this, I'm not sure if you're following. So if you have any non-African American followers that hear this, please, we can't talk about hair without talking about race. So I'm
Right.
not excluding any or minimizing like a Caucasian breast cancer patient doesn't deal with it because the plight is the same. It's
Mhm.
devastating. We look
Mhm.
different. But I have to take it to African American culture because when we look at our culture, and how we were denied so much. We took a little bit, made a lot. And when you think about like Madam C.J. Walker and just that whole story about, like even how hair grease was
Mhm.
formulated.
Mhm.
People have used Crisco in their hair. I mean, it's just different journeys. So again, nothing against other races, but I have to say, when you talk about hair and fashion intersecting, hair for the Black woman is a big deal.
Mhm. Yep.
Memories are created around hair growing up, your mom in the kitchen pressing your hair out with a hot comb, or washing your hair, or preparing your hair for Easter. You think about beauty shops, you know,
Mhm.
the age of the beauty shop where we would assimilate. And sometimes our hair be done and we still there. We're there for hours and we
Meet our
don't
friends
mind.
there.
Right. That was like, and the barbecue man will come in and you getting the dinner and you're sitting there, your hair is finished. You're eating lunch. You've
Mhm.
literally, we made it a part of us. So when we look at how important hair is to us, how you're not going to walk out of there, spend 4 or 5 hours, get your hair done, and go put on a trash bag.
Mm.
When we talk about even just Easter, the preparation for any type of holiday, and you see those memes on Facebook where they say, "Well, what you wearing to the living room, for Christmas or
Mhm.
Thanksgiving? If you going to your auntie's house or your grandma's house, what you wearing to the living room?" And we think about fashion, and then my family is originally from New Orleans. We don't play. So at
Mhm.
the end of the day, when we talk about stunting, second line Sundays, you
Yes.
wear your best. You're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
coming out there with a whole, and we're talking about designer, Versace from head to toe, and your hair's not done. In the African American community, hair and fashion go hand in hand.
I agree with that.
It
Yeah.
is like saying, when people feel like you are completing anything, you can't have one without the other. You can't bake a cake without eggs. You can't, it's an ingredient to the full picture. Um, when I see women that put it, it makes me feel good when I see women, especially when we talked about larger sizes, that are meticulous about hair, nails, their body, their skin. Um, we could talk about hair and skin on the same
Mhm.
level because I feel that a lot of us don't invest like we should. But
Mhm.
um, I have to say, in finality, for me, even with this journey, losing my hair, getting it back together, fashion never left me. Even when I didn't have hair, you were going to see a reflection of something about my hair, about my head. Um, from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, if I'm giving you my best fashion, I'm not leaving out my hair.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
just end all be all of it is, don't come 75% and then don't finish up with that, you know, just important. Because I'd say do your hair. If you don't have an outfit,
Do
get
your
your
hair.
hair done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do something with your hair, comb it. Yeah.
Something, because I can
Yeah.
put you in a jogging. Let me tell you what, I didn't grow up with a lot. I can put you in a jogging suit from Walmart. I can cut out the neck. I can style you. I can put you in the cheapest things, have your hair done, and I promise you that the finishing, that's the finished effect
Mhm.
of addressing every part of your look.
I love that, and I think that's an important message for people, is that addressing all parts of your look are
Hmm.
something that we should be focused on a regular basis. Well, I
Absolutely.
love that. I love that, and I love that you say that fashion and hair are one and the same, because I feel the same way. I feel the
Hmm.
exact same way.